Fox News contributor Joey Jones and Fox News contributor, former CIA station chief Dan Hoffman. Dan, we'll start with you. You're the intel expert. What is China likely thinking? I'll never forget when we were in Singapore and Vietnam, you gave me a lot of dire warnings about China.
Yeah, look, Taiwan sits on the geopolitical fault line between democracy and dictatorship, and it's a very dangerous place for us to be if we're not giving them all the support they need. Back in February, Director Burns from the CIA said that China was planning to have the capability to invade Taiwan by 2027. China considers Taiwan a breakaway province, even though they've never ruled it. And the challenge, I think, for the United States is that we've got to give Taiwan more of what they need to make it prohibitively costly for China in terms of spilled blood and treasure. Learn from what happened in Ukraine, where we failed to deter Vladimir Putin. Let's try to do what we can to deter the Chinese. That means giving Taiwan a lot of what we should be giving more of to Ukraine. Javelin anti-tank weapons. Joey can speak to this more than I, but coastal air defense. All the things that Taiwan needs, get them the F-16 aircraft that they need as well.
Yeah. Joey, let's get your take on all of this and your assessment of the real clear, what I view as a present danger.
Yeah, I think that what American people need to understand is China's never changed their terminology or outlook on this. They've just been waiting until they had the strength and opportunity to act on it. I mean, we saw it happen in Hong Kong. We took out their biggest enemy in Japan in World War II. We took out their next biggest threat with the fall of the Soviet Union, the USSR. And what has been in their way ever since? Not much of anything, especially not us. As far as our ability to help Taiwan, I agree with Dan. That is the most obvious path forward. But I mean, the American people have to sit here and say, are we willing to fund with either treasure or blood two wars at the same time with two countries we don't actually have a mutual defense treaty with? And that's the problem that American politicians have put us in. It makes a lot of sense to defend Taiwan, but we're currently going through a complete restructuring of the United States Marine Corps in the Pacific that's looking to take 8 years to create littoral forces that would allow us to defend our own backdoor against China. How are we going to arm Taiwan if it's going to take us a decade to arm ourselves? It seems to me like there's a lot of mismanagement, or at least a lack of ability between Congress and our military leaders to be prepared for what is the threat in front of us. Even Marine Corps generals that are retired are very much in dispute with the current Marine Corps generals leading the Marine Corps on this plan, because we've basically had to sell out all of our land fighting capabilities in order to pay for what is an 8-year plan to defend the Pacific. So we're not in a great place with our own military. And how many men and women are going to send their sons and daughters to defend another country? And I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. I'm saying that's where the American taxpayer is. And as far as our ability to fund a war, that's my ability. That's your ability. That's the taxpayer's ability.
All right, let me ask a final question.
Keep creating and funding war.
Final question for both of you. Do you think if China invades Taiwan that America under Joe Biden will lift a finger? I don't believe he will. I don't think he'll do a darn thing. He'll talk about sanctions, this and that. I don't think he's going to do anything militarily. Dan Hoffman.
Well, I'll turn the question around a little bit, Sean. What matters is what China believes. If they don't believe that the United States is ready to step in and defend Taiwan, that will enter into their calculus. Just one thing for people to think about.
Let's assume it happens. Do you think Joe Biden will act? I don't think he will.
I do actually believe the administration would act. I think there'd be a lot of pressure coming from the Congress, and I think there's bipartisan consensus from Democrats and Republicans. Sean, it's like the only thing we can find where Democrats and Republicans actually agree on confronting China.
We're going to have a war with China over Taiwan? Is that, you really think that's going to happen? Because I'm not laughing about it. I'm talking about our sons and daughter, our national treasure here.
Well, we're talking about losing a lot of national treasure. If China subsumes Taiwan's economy and that semiconductor industry that's so important to us, not to mention the fact that it's the same reason we're helping Ukraine, that to allow a nuclear-armed state to take over another. But look, a good debate to have. Joey makes good points about spilling our own blood and treasure in a faraway place. My relatives did that in the Second World War, and that's kind of what we do. We go out there in the hard places and defend our country's interests. But a good debate to have.
If China does invade Taiwan, do you think Joe Biden lifts a finger short of sanctions and a lot of rhetoric?
Sean, you could have asked me if I thought Joe Biden would surrender Afghanistan and let dozens of us die to do it, and I'd have said no way. He was vice president for 8 years that war. Why would he do that? And that's exactly what he did. I have no idea how he would respond to Taiwan, but I know if he didn't respond in any way, his political career would be over because he's promised to respond for the last 6 months.
Joey, thank you. Dan Hoffman, thank you.